Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me. I'm Sharifah Hardie with another special episode of Ask Sharifah. We have a very special and a very unique guest today. Usually we talk to business owners and we talk to brands and entrepreneurs and entertainers. But guess what? Today's guest is a record holder. So we're going to talk a little bit more about him, but please welcome Mr. Matt Holmes. Good afternoon, Matt. How are you?
Hey guys, good to be here. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for joining me. So Matt, what you do is handshaking, right?
That's right. I'm a full-time professional handshaker.
Wow, I've never even heard of such a thing. So how did you become a full-time professional handshaker?
Sure. So to sum it up in one sentence, we help real estate contractors shake hands with local customers in their city. That's what we do with my business, Handshaking. How it got started, I really thought that personal branding and network and your mentors are really the three things that lead you to success as an entrepreneur. So for me, I started interviewing people about how networking played into their success. And that's why we called the business Handshaking, is because that's where relationships start. Today and now 2019, there's more and more emails and notifications. And I believe that the in-person handshake and the in-person relationship is still the most valuable thing you can have with someone. More and more people email us, more and more people message us, but it's really the people you spend your time with in person that can help you the most with your business. So that's why it's called Handshaking.
No, I love that. And it's actually something, a personal expression that I use. You know, a lot of people ask me about raising money and how do you raise money? And I always tell them if I'm in a money raising mode, if I'm in a fundraising mode, I always start with handshaking and kissing babies. You know, you got to get out there and shake those hands and kiss those babies. So, I mean, you are definitely correct. It's those in person, I've been online since 1994. I've done networking events, a lot of different things, but what actually translates to sales is always the handshaking and kissing of babies.
Yes, it's that in-person time together that builds trust. I could not agree more.
Absolutely. Now, I want to talk a little bit because one of the things that I found interesting is you're a record holder. Tell us a little bit about it says that you are the world record holder for handshaking.
That's true. January 2016.
Okay.
Let's see. Wow, 3 years ago now. I set out to break. That was the date where we started the attempt to break the world record. Of course, you and all your listeners, many people have on their bucket list to be a world record holder. But the question is, what kind of world record should I break? And I had no idea for, many years of working and going to school until I started a business called Handshaking. And then the answer was simple. It's what world record can I break that involves shaking hands? And I found several different vulnerable world records that I thought I might be able to break. But some of them involved thousands of people shaking hands at the same time. And the world's longest handshake was for 42 and a half hours. That's how long the previous world record holders shook hands.
Okay.
And, I could go into the specifics about the details, but in short, it was a long weekend, but I convinced one of my friends to shake hands with me for 43.5 hours, and we broke the record by just 1 hour.
Oh, wow. That had to be very interesting. I mean, a lot has to have come up in that time frame. I don't even want to imagine it, because just to stand there with someone shaking hands for that period of time. But that's incredible. And it shows a lot of your creative genius. From an entrepreneurial perspective, from a business perspective, what did that do to your business? Like, I'm almost sure your business just skyrocketed after that.
Yes, I wish it would have skyrocketed in sales, but but it didn't increase the bottom line in
Okay.
any meaningful way. Of course, we started more dialogues, more leads
Yes.
were in the pipeline. At that point, we were selling websites and online marketing services for clients,
Okay.
and we had many more conversations. So it did help with that a little bit. But where it really helped is the amount of PR and news
Yes.
attention we got.
Yes.
On my website, my website, handshaken.com, without the G. We don't have that one yet. We will buy it at some point. Hopefully for less than their asking price.
They know you
I'm sure
right
I'm not the
now.
only one in this boat. Anyway, yeah, don't tell them. Or tell them to lower the price, and then we'll buy it. So, yeah, we got a ton of backlinks from, local, international news sources, co-working spaces. We got maybe about a dozen backlinks just from that one experience. And that I later learned is something that, more grown-up businesses pay thousands and thousands of
Right.
dollars for, probably tens of thousands of dollars, to get that amount of quality websites linking to your small little website. That's where it helped the most, was the backlinks.
I can imagine. That's how I knew it had to have skyrocketed, because sometimes we need, or we expect immediate sales or our profit margin to just skyrocket. But it's those conversations, again, having my own PR company. That's the thing that I understand, is having a story, something the media can respond to. And those people may not utilize your services today, but the people come because they read these stories and they're excited by somebody who actually takes the time. I mean, that's literally 2 days, to sit there and shake hands or be committed to something
You're right.
for 2 days.
Yeah, that was a very long weekend. It started Friday at 11 a.m. and it stopped Sunday, past Saturday night into Sunday morning at 9 a.m. The timer stopped at just under 46 hours.
Wow. So when you hit the 44-hour mark, or just over 1 hour mark, did you just stop because you beat the record? Or were you like at that last hour ready to give up, and you were just like struggling to the finish line and just like, we can make it? Or did you feel like you could shake hands for another 24 hours?
Now that would get into the politics between my partner and I, which I'll absolutely talk to you about. Now, we shook hands with our left hand, okay? Do you know why?
No.
I'll give you a hint. Selfie.
Okay.
Of course, we have to take selfies while we're breaking a world record. So, but however, our left hand, after shaking hands for so long, it's cramped and it hurts. It hurts after a while. So, I really wanted to keep going, and I won't lie, it was painful. I mean, you feel like you're just like causing arthritis that weekend, all in one weekend, with the amount of, the hands can't stop shaking. They have to stay clasped, and it's painful. So, we had to get through that, and we pushed for 1 hour, and then we did not push for further because it was too painful for I agreed. My partner said, "Do you want to stop?" I said, "No." He's like, and then we got closer to an hour. He's like, "Let's stop." I'm like, "Okay, let's stop."
That's amazing. So how do they record this? I mean, how do the judges are they there with you physically watching you shaking hands?
No, that costs $8,000 actually.
Okay.
So the majority of Guinness World Record attempts are done evidence-based. So we had to video record the whole thing. We had to get press. We needed witness statements and lots of other check boxes on the checklist to apply for that one.
Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds fun. I mean, and I don't even think just because it's handshaking, but just to have a goal. Like, that's me. Like, I just love making goals just to say I've achieved this, I've reached this, adding things to the bucket list. These are stories you'll be able to pass on for generation to generation. Little grandkids coming up and say, "Grandpa is a world record holder," and it's just fun. I think it's a lot of fun. But, it is. I think so. But to be able to use that as a selling tool, because the majority of my viewers are entrepreneurs. And this is a perfect example of a selling tool. It represents your business. and what you believe in. So I think that is just amazing. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, because we may be experiencing a little bit of lag, just a little bit. Wonderful interview, but where are you calling in from?
Today, I'm calling from Ireland, so I will speak a little slower in case we have lag. But, I'm at a Hilton hotel, and it should have, I'm on the fast Wi-Fi as well, so it should be doing better. Otherwise, I might get a discount if our generous listeners are having to deal with lag. But, today it's Ireland, and in a few days, it'll be Warsaw, Poland, and then
wow.
Greece, and so on.
So do you spend a lot of time on the road?
This year, yes. I have not been a big traveler until last year. I have not been a big traveler until 2018. My team works in Philippines. I've outsourced to Philippines for about 4 years. So 2018 was the first year I traveled there and learned about their culture and met them in person and made some additional hires. And that was the reason of my trip. However, Philippines is so far from the U.S. that I figured, why not just travel west after Philippines and explore the Middle East and Europe a little bit. So right now I'm calling in from Ireland and heading back to the East Coast, and then to speak at a domain name investor conference in Vegas. So I'll be back later this month in January.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that investor conference. But I guess my question is, since you're traveling around the world, are you doing any handshaking?
Yes, of course. Every city I go to, I attempt to reach out to founders, investors who are in the local city. And I have found that LinkedIn has the best search filter to find someone in that city with that job title. And LinkedIn's huge in the U.S. It's getting bigger abroad and in many other countries, so it usually does the trick. But sometimes I'll only reach out to maybe 10 or 20 people at the most, and hope for a few meetings, and also to get a flavor for how the locals live their life here in all these different cultures.
Do you get a selfie with them, with the two of you shaking hands?
Of course, I used to take selfies. I used to take handshake selfies, all the time. However, I've gotten a little bit more selective with who I take selfies with and post about, because, a lot of people have businesses, but, it's really the business owners who have something quirky or something mind-blowing or a really creative strategy that is already working. Those are the business owners that I'll still take photos with and post about. But it used to just be anyone, but there's enough handshakes on the Instagram,
That's wonderful. I can just see this big collage of you just shaking hands with a lot of different people. So I have to ask you, who's your favorite person that you've shaken hands with?
Oh gosh. Let me get political for a second. This should be fun. I'll tell you the softest handshake I ever had. Like a limp fish, I think they call it, right? Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Listeners, you guys ready?
Yes.
Dick Cheney.
Oh, okay. So Dick was limp.
He holds the world record for the world's limpest handshake.
Oh wow! Did you get a picture of that? No pictures?
I do. Yeah, okay. I'll pull it up here while we're chatting. But he had a very limp handshake. Other than that, I've shaken hands with some pretty amazing people. Jeff Hoffman, one of the billionaire founders behind Priceline.com. Kimball Musk, Elon Musk's brother. He sits on the board at Tesla, SpaceX, Chipotle, and tons of other big brands. Okay. And who else? Oh, let's see. John Paul DeJoria, the billionaire founder of Patron Tequila.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you mentioned Dick Cheney and his limp handshake. So that tells me that you can really notice the different types of handshakes that people have. And it's kind of interesting because one of the things that I first noticed about someone is the way they shake hands. And I always love a strong, firm handshake. to me, if they have a soft or a lip handshake, I kind of figure they're kind of passive or kind of, a little, I love that strong, aggressive handshake. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for me, I've blogged a little bit about this and wondered what the best handshake is. And for me, I think it's just shake with eye contact
Okay.
and release. I think 2 shakes is good. I've traveled a lot to these. Let's see, I was in a conference in Malaysia a few months ago. I was given a talk on how to use technology to meet your idol.
Okay.
And a lot of the handshakes I had in Malaysia were a little bit extended. So it wasn't a shake, release. It was like shake, let's shake some more and 3 more shakes. And then we're done, maybe. I love Malaysia. That country's great. But I had to adjust to the normal type of handshake there.
Wow, I'm learning so much. I'm so glad we did this interview because there's so much that I had no idea about. One of the things I did know is it may have changed, but at least, before in a lot of Muslim or Saudi Arabia places, they always want you to shake hands with both hands. So they shake your hand and then they clasp it or cover it with both hands. And they do it in, a lot of the Saudi Arabia, you go to Dubai. And I actually was wondering, is there a reason, aside from just culture? But the reason they used to do that is because they wanted to show that they were unarmed, that they didn't have a sword or a gun. So they always greeted, with both hands as opposed to, shaking hands and then they pull a sword or pull a weapon out. So it's kind of a culture or tradition in those cultures.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would be very interested in learning that too. I've always been a fan of the shake and then clasp, but it feels warm to me, like something you would do with a friend or someone when you're trying to comfort them. So I like that. As far as in the cultures, I think most people you shake hands with, you can probably trust them unless you have a bad handshake, in which case you should run after you give them a bad handshake. But anytime you travel, there's let's see, I don't even want to do it. So here in some cultures, it's okay to use 2 fingers to say peace, but as soon as you turn those 2 fingers around, that is actually the equivalent of using the middle finger in the US. So there's all kinds of different hand gestures that you should be aware of while traveling, of course. And I've been trying to learn, I'm a big promoter of handshakes. What country just hates handshakes and hates my vision? Because I should probably be conscious of that and maybe be careful when I go there to speak to them about that.
Yes, I love it. This is interesting to me. I think the double clasp is the I come in peace. I think the one place where they don't want to shake hands is probably the good old USA. We're the ones, I've seen so many people who say, germs, and we can be so, just not warm and inviting in America. You go to so many other places and they're just like, oh, I don't shake hands, I hug. You get people who tell you that I hug. And to me, that's so much better than people say, germs, you might have germs, don't touch me. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I will disclose when I give a speech, I have everyone in the audience shake their hands and we do bring hand sanitizer. That's a good point. If you go to a networking event, especially if there's food, take a moment to go wash your hands in the bathroom before you start putting everyone's hands in your mouth.
Absolutely. I love it. And I love that you've actually built a business around handshaking. I think that's wonderful. I hope all our visitors, all our listeners visit your website, a Handshaking without the G. We're going to get that down to $1.99 with the G. But handshaking.com, visit the website. Now, I want to go back to what you mentioned earlier with the conference in Vegas. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So this is my 4th or 5th year attending the Domain Name Investor Conference. I think I mentioned earlier, we used to build websites for our clients. However, now we're not looking for more work. We build our own websites, and they're referral websites for real estate contractors in U.S. cities. So we own the website, and we get the website to rank on Google. The website gets phone calls of customers who are requesting quotes, and then we send those requests to contractors that pay us.
Okay.
So we own the domain name and the website, not the customer. Okay. So that's why domain name investing is incredibly interesting and important for us. And yes, this is my 5th year there. This year, my talk is about how to use your blog to connect with mentors, or it's how to use your domain to connect with mentors. So it's like for someone who wants to raise money or reach higher net worth clients, and it's how to use a personal blog to interview people to get your foot in the door. Because as you know, as an interview host, many people will say yes to you. But before people ask to interview you, it's harder to get that coffee meeting. But if you have a platform to interview someone, 9 times out of 10, people will say yes, where they will not say yes that often to your coffee requests or tea requests if we're in the Middle East, or what else? Lunches in the Philippines? I'm not sure.
No, but you make an excellent point, because a lot of people ask me, how did I initially get started in radio? And it was kind of a funny story. I went to the Los Angeles Convention Center prior to being a radio host. And at that time, I was only doing website design and online marketing. Those are the 2 services, quite like yourself, that I offered. And I did not have a booth, but I went to this event at the Los Angeles Convention Center, and I tried, to get new customers. I walked around, I talked to people, and they literally laughed at me, maybe not directly, but they were like, you don't even have a booth, you're walking around. Why should we utilize your services? And I felt real bad. And I said, you know what? I have to get in the door. And so I launched my own Blog Talk Radio show as Ask Sharifah Radio, where I spoke about internet advertising and marketing, and went back to another event at the LA Convention Center. Same thing, no booth, just me walking around, and the same people who, I don't remember exact people, but the same types of people who had laughed at me before were lining up to be guests on my radio show. They were bringing their friend, such and such, at 2 booths down. They would go down to the booth and say, you got to talk to this lady. She's doing this internet show. And I'm like, okay, wow. So you come up with these different ways to get your business in the door. So I absolutely love it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got to take a moment to highlight something you said right there, because then you don't have to come see me talk, because this is a conclusion. So, it's the fact that it's so rare to find someone who's willing to take what you're saying and share it with their entire network. Yes. It doesn't matter if my blog has 10 or 10,000 visitors. The mere fact that I am so interested in you and your success, and that I'm promising to interview you, which means I'll tell everyone I know about it, that's the key. So of course it helps if you are if you're Jeff Bezos and you own the Washington Post. Yes. But you don't have to. You can still ask to interview people, without having a huge following, because of what that implies. And of course you should follow up and make sure to share it to the best of your abilities. Absolutely. So that's just important. Yeah. And you experienced an important way that helps, at a conference, is when you can ask to interview versus just pick someone's mind for coffee.
Absolutely. And asking for an interview, if not, and people, I have never charged for interviews, whether they were radio interviews or video interviews. And there are so many people who charge for interviews, whether it's, $25, $250, $5,000. I mean, the gamut ranges in prices for interviews. And people always say, Sharifah, you're really good. You should charge for interviews. I'm like, no, I just like helping people. But what I found is that in trying to get even $25 for someone, that person's like, no, that's okay, I'm not interested. But if I just do an interview, I'm getting an opportunity to build a relationship. And to me, building a relationship is priceless. So I love to speak to people, because like now, hey, I get to meet Matt. I get to talk to Matt. I get to find out what Matt does. Maybe Matt we're going to shake hands. Oh, I love it. Maybe interested in interviewing me, so these are opportunities that I think if I said, you know what, Matt, I would love to talk to you about handshaking, but you got to give me $2,500. And you might be like, oh, you Sharifah.
You give me 2,500. Yeah. Right. Because then you think about, there was one point where I was trying to get Robert Herjavec, worker in from Shark Tank, to be a speaker at an event, and they were charging $5,000 to $60,000 to be a keynote speaker. And you think about that, and then it's like, how, they're charging that much to talk their message to your audience. So how does that work? Yeah, it's hard to charge. I got some cold emails the other day saying, hey, Matt Handshaking has been given this award. And I said, great, really? We got an award? That's awesome. What now? What happens next? Am I on your website? Do we get something to put in the office? And after looking into the details, no, they just want me to buy something for $50. I don't like that brand. And then I don't trust anyone else, and then everyone else on that website who did buy something, I don't trust them either, because it feels like it was the other winners of the award, everyone who purchased an award. Those are business owners who think very highly of themselves. So for me, I get along better with people who are humble and trying to learn. And of course, me too. I always have something more to learn. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get by every day and learn from someone smarter than me. And I feel like when you charge for something like that, it kind of mixes that up and can make most people uncomfortable maybe. But yeah, I mean, to your point, a lot of work goes into interviews. I've had about maybe 70 or 80 video interviews, and there's an editing cost. You got to perfect the audio. It takes time to promote it. So on the flip side, hosts deserve some credit and deserve some referrals and deserve to, talk about their message too. So we could talk about that, but
it all depends. It's a personal thing. It's a personal thing, which is why I do my quick interviews, no editing, I just get it out there, and people just enjoy it, and they have a lot of fun. And I want people to have a lot of fun while sharing their business. That, and I still have people. I started in 2009 on Blog Talk Radio, and I still have people that are still within my network, people who have done repeat business with me, and they still have those interviews from 2009 linked on their website. It's just awesome. To me, it's a really good feeling. Or for someone to say, I'm doing really well in business, but you gave me my very first interview. A lot of business owners never have the opportunity to do an interview, a video interview, a radio interview, because they think interviews to a certain extent are just for celebrities or influencers. And I'm like, okay, especially in my PR company, it's like, no, this is how we make you into an influencer by giving you a platform to share your voice and to share your thoughts and find out what's so wonderful about you, your product, or your service. So I absolutely love it. Now, Matt, we are coming down to the last few seconds of the show. And what I like to do at the end of every show is allow my guests the opportunity to take a few minutes to really reinforce what you want our viewers to take away from your interview.
Sure. Well, if I could ask your viewers to do one thing, I would ask, why don't you think about one person who you really look up to, who you think could help you with your career, and take a moment and find their email and email them and ask to interview them. And when you interview them, just come up with 3 questions and ask them, ask them some specific questions specific to their experience and where you're trying to go, and publish that on LinkedIn. Do something easy like that, because that's going to help you get to success. On the flip side, if you are more interested in how we're helping real estate contractors and other niches, get more business, we're not looking for clients, so you can't hire us. I have nothing to sell you guys. I'm so sorry. But if you're interested in our business, we blog a lot about how to get your business up and running. And this is best if you're like a local business in a smaller US-based city with less than 10 employees. We blog a lot about that at handshaking.com without the G. So, please give us a visit. And me personally, my handle is Handshaking without the G. everywhere online. If you have any questions about this interview, it'd be great to hear from you. And of course, I promise to respond to you. So thank you guys so much for listening to me. And I'll pass it back to Sharifah at this point.
Oh, you are so welcome. Thank you, Matt, for being a guest on today's episode of Ask Sharifah.
Thanks.
You are welcome. And so be sure to visit the website at AskSharifah.com to view all of our interviews and to find out how you too can be a guest on our next video interview. Until then, everyone have a wonderful day.